Hello again. Now I will try to make a tutorial of sticky self-timer in Hasselblad SWC. This nice old super wide angle camera, which have some problem with the self-timer. So I will go in for that. I mean, it's not that complicated. Well, first we need to we take a, hold on a second, we just need to put it in V. Doesn't really go that well. Okay, drop the shutter and then press the button and then put it on V. And then it has some problem because the old oil has get stuck, so the self-timer mechanical clockwork cannot fully its sequence. So first we need to take off the nameplate. One can use a lens spinner to the two notches here and there, but I usually use a gasket. This is a 56.6mm rubber gasket from a plumber's shop. It is very sticky, so let's see if we can put it on and then just make some good pressure. Yeah. That's it. Now the front lens group, I could have taken this, but sometimes they sit very tight. So I will go in for my huge walking stick metal compass, which is very good for that kind of work. I already adjusted for that, and so here we are. And then I can use my rubber thingy to unscrew it. So, and that's actually that. Here we have the lens group. I will just put it on in the rubber thingy so I know where it is. Safe. Now we have 3 screws here, and before we get that far, remember to set a mark here somewhere and here, just so you know exactly this sits correct. I use a 3mm flathead screwdriver. This is called Vise, with the exchangeable bits. Very good quality. Sometimes it's very handy with a magnetic screwdriver, but this hasn't been magnetic enough. So, but you see, when I take off the front here, we'll go into another plate. So this is how it looks. There are another plate here, and under that there's a tiny steel ball. So when also remember to set a mark here, just so you know where it is. I use a smaller screwdriver, something 2mm or so, flathead. Yep. That's a magnetic, so it fits perfect. And remember, when take off the plate, the small steel ball is behind. So this kind of a notch sits where the ball is, here. So it goes where it should. See? Therefore, the mark isn't necessary. So that's it. Then I take off the exposure ring. The notch here goes into the pin here, which actually changed the exposure. Remember that. And the aperture ring, which also have a notch here, and it goes into another pin, which is down here. You probably can see it here. It's a kind of spring loaded, because this is the spring under the shutter. So, and take care of the small ball here. It shouldn't be disappearing. If we can get it out. It pops out here. Put it somewhere where it's hidden by some of those rings, so you know exactly where it is. Now, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's only 5 screws. 5 screws around. Some of them have 7 and 9, depending on shutters, but these only have 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Somewhere down here. Now there are two springs that actually press on the shutter, on the aperture ring, so you can bend it from one side to side when you change the exposure and shutter. So there's one spring there and one spring there. Remember the orientation, which I'll tell you in a second. When I unscrew it, remember how it's sit. So I put them on the table like it faced. Then there's a screw, just a screw, nothing special. And then another screw, and there is the other spring. Okay, I only get out the screw and then the spring. So they are faced in the opposite direction. And then the last one close to the self timer down here. Come out. And here we are. Now, to get off the cover here for the shutter, we need to put the exposure there, because there is a notch down here where this pin comes through. Now lift up the cover here, and then you need to turn it a bit. Counterclockwise, and then lift it up. As you can see there. And then it pops out. So you go down here, when you put it back in, you put it down there, and so there. Here we are. And then the cover plate for the shutter. And now we're actually facing the shutter itself. You can try cock the shutter and see what's happened. That was on B, and then we try D. So there's another thing that really has to be it is actually important, because when you take off the the spring here that lock the plate here. You really have to be aware of how the cocking gear. So, but we just lift it out using a tweezer or a screwdriver. Well, better need use my dentist tool so I can probably down the hole here and lift it up, and then go all the way around. At the same time I hold at the plate. So now 3. Just a piece of spring. So now I can take off the plate itself, and under somewhere here, over here, the self-timer is hidden by the plate. So gently lift up the plate here. This is how it looks. Over here, right here actually, we have the self-timer. It's only sit in place by one screw, so it shouldn't be that hard to get into. But before we can get into it, I need to take off the cocking shutter ring. And before I do that, over here, I have the cocking gear, which is coming from the winder gear somewhere behind it. This is the intermediate gear that goes on to the ring here. It's good to set a mark where those goes in, where they sit in correct place, like here, because if the ring is one teeth to one side, the shutter will not be cocked correct. So we need to take that out. There is a spring underneath, a long spring that is connected to this pin right here. So and it's make the tension when cocking the shutter. So we just take it out, and before we do so, I will just make it clear where the gear is actually when it sits correct, just so you can see it. There and there. So now there shouldn't be any problem, and just to make sure it is correct, on the cocking gear here there's a small, very small, tiny mark that makes from the factory. So we can also make a mark here, so it sits correct. Now, just so. Now it's time to take off the ring itself. It shouldn't be any problem. Just put on 2 fingers here so you know they sit correct, and then lift up here. some tension on the spring, so and then the long spring here, put it aside, and then we have fully access to the self-timer. There's one small hook here, just so you know things sit correct. This is how it actually works. When I use the MX, I will not cock the self-timer at the moment, but if I press it this pin that way, I will cock the self-timer. But we need to take it out, so I'll just do so. Put a finger on. The little longer screw, and then should be possible to just take it out. Oh, thinner tweezer. So this is actually how it looks. Okay. Yeah, we need to give it a little schnapps, what do you say? In this case I will use isopropylalcohol 99%, which is really good for cleaning small gears like the escapement and the self-timer. Doesn't really need that much. So the cab on, and then give it a little bath. I just use as small as possible, just a tiny glass. And I really think it will go much better because of the cleaning. So if I just do so, it shouldn't move, and then I press the little pin here, just move on. Goes pretty good. Do it again. I will add some oil, very thin oil. It runs really good. now. So we have 1, 2, 3, and this the big wheel here, and then we have 1, 2, 3 axle end on each side. So I will just add some. In this case I will try some very thin oil for modeling building, which I've tried in other times and it works pretty good. Super leicht Laufolie mit PTFE-Partikeln. I guess it's right spelling. Well, just add a very tiny drop on each end of the gear. So we go here. There, and on the other side I could have used sewing machine oil, but I would like to try another lube. So, and then blow out the rest of the isopropylalcohol so it's clean. You see, I don't lube the small gear wheel teeth because it's not really necessary. Because they run smooth. So then I will just give it a little tension before I put it in. So it's ready to actually put back in. It's not that hard. I mean, it can sometimes be, but in this case there shouldn't be any big problem. Hope you can see what's happened. Yes. Now this goes in here. Oh. Gently put it on. And this little pin has to go on this side of the we need to have some tension on it before we can put it in. It will be much easier because this has to be as long out as possible. So little pin goes there. And then it should be possible to put in the screw. Just gently tighten it, because here we have this. It looks like everything's in place. Yeah. Seems to be okay. Then I can put it back in the cocking ring. And remember the end of the long spring. Put it on, and then there. Hit the right teeth over here. By the cocking gear, and there it should be. We're almost there. Hopefully. I'll just put on the exposure ring just to see if it actually works. Which I hope. Get the correct grooves, and put on the spring. Come on. Begin in one end, and then go all the way around. Click. Now it sits as it should. So, now it's interesting to see if something is actually working. Yeah, the shutter itself works. But how about the self-timer? Cock the shutter, press in the pin here, and then go. Yeah, what can I say? It actually works perfect. It's around 10 seconds or so. Interesting piece of mechanic. Yeah. Now, then it's time to put things back in again. And here we're done. So, the blind here, black thingy, put on here. The cover for the shutter. Remember the spring here goes where the locking pin for the self-timer sits, and then it should be possible to, maybe it's easier to see that way, here, and the pin, gently put it in, and then it should be possible to get the locking pin for the self-timer there. And here we are. Press on the spring and there you're almost done. Here we are, actually. Not quite, it has to be turned a little. So, and then the first screw, which was closest to the self-timer section. And the screw with the spring that goes next. Try to do so. Here we have it. And gently put it in. Two more screws on the side, and then we are almost there. And then the last one, which is face the opposite direction of the other spring, and it sits close to the flash connection. Just put it in. Can sometimes be a little annoying, but here we are. That was actually that. Just one tightening of this screw. Yeah. So that was actually the part of it. Then the aperturing goes on to the correct pin. The notch is here, the pin is down here. And it has to be pressed down so it will make the movement. Before you do any further thing, you should load screw on your magnetic screwdriver, because it will make it much easier when putting things back. We have the small steel ball somewhere. Goes there. Now we know where it is. And then the shuttering with the notch there, and the pin over here. Here we are. And then the plate itself. Here, this well, boring or something, grinding, has to be sit over the ball, the steel ball for the aperture, so you know where it goes. Then, so put in a screw. Sorry, it's not easy to do it on camera so everybody can see what's happened, but we will give it another go. Oh, it's not easy, but with some patience, we can do it. Oh, yes. Okay. Okay. So what about there? Okay, we give it another go. One sits there and the other one sits somewhere here. Hopefully it goes okay. Yeah, and the aperture ring. Yeah, it looks like it's okay. So, and hopefully the aperture ring goes okay. Yes. move as it should. Yeah. So everything is proper put back in. Then we just need the front section. There. Okay. So gently tighten it. Everything seems to be okay. Then I will add my lens group. This also looks really good. There's some dust on the front, but I will take it away later. So, and then my lens, my walking stick that goes here, and then tighten it, and fully the nameplate. So it says click. And there we are back to normal. With everything in place. And my self-timer says some click. Here we are. So that was it. Bye bye.